Today we welcome Professor Shiyong Wu from Chemistry and Biochemistry. He's also the director of the Edison Biotechnology Institute. And he will introduce us to solar ultraviolet light, friend or foe. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the organizer to invite me here to give a talk, and of course the audience, and thank you to be here. I hope I can entertain you and also can tell you some of these things very important, for your life. And so what I'm going to discuss is UV ultraviolet light. That's usually people just call it UV, easy. And how does it impact on you, on your this health? Also, what's the mechanism, what it involves about this, what is UV, and how does it, affect on your at the cellular level. So first, what is UV, okay? So UV is an electromagnetic field spectrum. It's no different from what you see here. You see the light. If you see something that's the wave is coming, it's with a certain wavelength getting to your eye and you see it, right? And if you see green here, the spot, because your eye absorbs UV, this green light. And you see the green also because the screen reflects the UV, this green light to your eye, right? So, but UV light, you really don't see it, but you don't see it not means it's not existing there. You all know that. And you go outside, that's, it will affect your skin. And that's the environment effect. You really very hard to avoid. You go outside, you get UV, okay? So, if you get overexposed to UV, and you get this redness, right? Your skin get redness, inflammatory response. And then after a day or so, your skin started to peel off, right? But think about this, this skin peel off really because the skin is getting damaged. So when your skin get damaged, your body really try to help. Okay, first they try to repair it. If they cannot repair, they let them die. So this really is a good thing. It's because this way the damaged cells will be removed. So that prevents the skin cancer to be further developed, okay? However, if the cell is not die, then you get trouble. If there is a mutation and they promote the cell to be survive, to be resistant, then you get trouble. So we are studying all these mechanism, how these cells become resistant to UV. So this is a couple of these pictures I put there because I want people to be aware. If you see these kind of spots, melanoma, that's one of the most deadliest cancer, okay? Very hard to cure. But for this basal cell carcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma, both of these related to UV, and it's very easy to cure. Almost, if you found it early, you cut it away, you're okay. And for the skin cancer, you probably didn't pay too much attention because all these you hear is colon cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, right? Lung cancer, all these kind of cancer you heard about this, this cancer is so bad, this type. But you know what's the number one cancer? That's a skin cancer. Top 5 other cancers ate together, the numbers is less than the skin cancer. So skin cancer really is the number one according to the number, but it's not most deadliest. So as I said, most skin cancer can be cured, okay? But the thing is, it causes a huge burden to the society. Billions of dollars be spent on treating the skin cancer, okay, every year. So this is a big problem. And the thing is, it's easier to cure, also easier to be prevented. So as long as you know how to protect yourself. So you probably will say, easy, I just buy sunscreen, right? Put on yourself. Yes? Anyone here brought a sunscreen with you? Today? Well, some people, I think they constantly brought a sunscreen. You have a sunscreen with you? No? Okay. If you don't, yeah. You have one. Let's see what's in it. Active ingredient, zinc oxide. Okay, so this is only single compound, zinc oxide, okay? Very good one. The reason is it's more protect yourself in a physical way. So zinc oxide, reflects the UV light. So it protects, thank you. Protect yourself by, you don't absorb it on your face, you reflect it, your cell don't get it, okay? So very environment safe UV, this protectant. But some of these others, so you protect yourself from a couple different ways. Physics, that's the one. And also most of these UV protectant contains chemicals to protect. So I just grabbed from my home, today, this morning I grabbed two. So active ingredient, avobenzone. Okay, that's a trademark. But most of these chemicals, what they do, they have is this polyene structure with a benzene ring. So they have a benzene ring, and they have this double bond. So double bond, the molecule often is very good to absorb the UV light. Okay, so they help to absorb the sunlight. However, this compound really recently, there is a publication on Newsweek about this compound get into your bodies in seconds. And no one really did too much study on it. So you put on your body, immediately get your bloodstream. And even get into this mother's milk, okay, and get into the baby's body. And this animal study shows this compound can interfere these hormone or these endocrine, these pathways can affect the body weight of the newborn. So, but I'm not saying don't use it, but that's some discussing about this. And also it's very environment this friendly. It causes it bleaches the coral reef. So like Australia and this Key West already banned these. Starting next year, you cannot use this chemical, this sunblock in the sea because it kills the coral. Okay, so a couple of these things, when you buy these, be very careful, read it and see if it's a chemical methods or it's a physical methods. But the best way to protect yourself, a hat, very easy. Just put on, I have this with me all the time, When you go outside, you just put a hat on, shade yourself, it protects very well. And most of these fibers are UV protectant. It blocks UV, very effective. And you don't have to spend a lot of money, to buy a hat. It says UV protect, this fiber. It's fiber, just fiber, Most of these very good blocking UV, okay? So you just have these. So now we have some these, about the physics and the radiation. UV is a little bit shorter wavelengths than the visible light. And so UV have different, depends on the different wavelengths. They call it UVA, UVB, UVC. UVC is very short wavelengths, and UVA is close to the blue light. And they have different functions. So UVC, mostly you don't see it. Only place you can encounter UVC is if you have this fume hood. There is a UV lamp to sterilize the fume hood. That's UVC because it's very effective in kill germs. Short wavelengths, higher energy, right? So this UV study really involves a lot: physics, chemistry, biology, environment. Environment, we always talk about to protect the ozone, right? And ozone really is a very good absorbent for UVC light. That's why we don't care too much about UVC because it never reaches the Earth. Unless if the ozone is destroyed, then we get trouble, right? But UVB and UVA do reach Earth, okay? And so that's why you buy this sunblock, you have to look if it's UVB only, or they sometimes don't say, but best is UVA and UVB, both be blocked. Why we are talking about need to block both? So now we get into the cellular level. Okay, so you can see, your skin get red, your skin peel off. All these are physical, reaction to the UV. It's mainly is protect yourself. But if you get into the cellular level, so this is a keratinocyte, and you have this skin different layers. So epidermis and dermis. And dermis, that's a part have blood vessel or this. So if you cut deeper, you see the blood, that's you get into the dermis layer. Epidermis mostly are keratinocytes. And so 90% are keratinocytes. And at the very, this basal layer of this epidermis, these called the basal cells. Okay, these basal cells differentiate into keratinocytes. And that's how these cells, they constantly replace your top skin. Then when you reach the top, they dry out dead, you don't feel anything, so protect yourself from a barrier. But these basal cells are the one that's alive, they differentiate. And UV light can reach, the UVB can penetrate the whole epidermis layer and just touch the dermis. And UVA can penetrate much deeper. Longer wavelength penetrates through, okay? And that's why, you want to, and this, in the dermis, there are a lot of fibroblasts. So when we study UV, we look at the different cells. So for UVB, it's cause more problem for skin cancer formation because no matter it's squamous cell carcinoma, let's see, back, squamous cell carcinoma or basal cell carcinoma, these cancer, both are developed from the basal cell differentiated into the epidermis layer. So, and UVB, it hits these cells, and as we said, this physics there is about the wavelengths and energy. So short wavelengths, high energy, right? So you have X-ray or this very high energy, but the thing is, it penetrates your body. It does not absorb by your cell. The UV, the problem is UVB, the wavelength, it's perfect for your DNA to absorb, so the wavelength. So your DNA absorbs the UVB light. You get excited. It's kind of, I say sometimes a society or big society or the small to your cell, their behavior is kind of similar. When they get excited, just like people get drunk. So they, instead of DNA, they're supposed to pair in the right way. So AT, GC, they pair A to T and G to C. So totally, you only have 4 codon. Every one of us looks different, all this, but the genetic codon is only 4 to form all of us, right? Very smart, this builder. So, but the DNA, when they get excited, kind of like people drunk, you don't recognize your partner. So they started to partner from the next to this purine. So it's not this, they're supposed to, but they form a dimer, okay? They form dimer. And this dimer is easy to be changed into a different, so if T and C, they form the dimer, and the difference is there is an amine here, so it can be removed after they get dimerized, and it deaminized, and then it becomes 2T, so TC becomes TT, and this is a signature mutation in skin cancer. 70+% of skin cancer contain this signature mutation. Okay, so but your DNA is so big, some of these mutations doesn't matter, don't cause much a problem. But if it's mutated in a critical gene, especially that gene is for survive, then you get trouble because that single mutation probably will not cause cancer because it's, cancer really is very complicated. So for when I was in Michigan Medical School, we have a professor just, grow all different kind of breast cancer cells, try to find the, a signature marker that's for all of them, he cannot find. Every of them are different. So it's a accumulation of mutations. But the first one, the critical part is you have to survive. Okay, our body is very good. Often we can correct ourselves, or we can kill them. Suicide mechanism to remove like a virus infection. All these, you just kill the bad cell. But if they get survived, for example, like p53, or we study a lot about NKB, they really promote a lot of different, cancerous, these kind of signaling pathway, and that's cause a problem. So the cell survive, then they just keep survive. You just every time hit your mutation, they don't remove. So often your cancer cell are developed from a single cell. It's a monoclonal. Takes 10 years. Okay, so that's what we study is how can we prevent these kind of mutations and what's the cellular response. So in our body, really DNA is constantly get damaged and get repaired. So usually it's no problem. Our body is very, very well, self-protected. You get UV light, damage the DNA. They can chop this TT away if they notice, and you remove it. Nuclear excision repair, they call it. Just remove that and then repair it. The problem is if you don't get repaired, or you saturate yourself the repair capacity. So that's why I say UV is a friend or foe. Really, it's very hard to say. It depends on how you deal with it. It's kind of like society. Again, I say, people always can be friends, no matter what. Depends on how you deal with them, right? So if you treat them nicely, they treat you nicely. So UV light is the same. UV light, people do found, it can help you to make a vitamin D, right? We all know. So if you go outside 15 to 30 minutes of UV, you get vitamin D enough for you a day, okay? I have a friend in the nutrition department, not here in Delaware, and he told me, the vitamin D made by sun really is much, almost all absorbed by your body, used. You took a pill, it's very small portion of the vitamin D will affect your body. So really UV is very good for you, but you have to be gentle. It's kind of like food. You eat too much, it's not good for you. You eat the right portion. UV is the same. So as long as you care about yourself, have some sunshine, and you will be okay. DNA damage will be repaired. And also, it depends on your lifestyle. So if you expose outside, the whole year long, your skin will be prepared. Really, when you be exposed to UV, you also get your melanin synthesized, right? Some people get darker, right? Some people light, the skin color. So melanin is kind of like this UV block, right? It's like sunblock, help you. So if you constantly go outside, and don't overexpose yourself too much, your skin get prepared, you will not get skin cancer. The problem is if you stay inside all the time and your skin is not prepared, and then you suddenly go to the beach, 1 week, under the sun, get severe burn, and that's really cause problem. Your skin is not prepared, okay? And really it's more complicated because during the day, also your DNA repair capacity is different. So you get early in the morning, you go out, get sunshine, your DNA repair, and in the afternoon, its repair capacity is different. So really, our body, I just say, it's attached to the environment so well. So if you do things that make sense, you will be fine. Okay, so now we get more into the, let's see, what's the time? So you have any questions so far? No question? Yeah.
When I read the labels on sunscreen,
Yes.
and they have 20%, 30%, 40%, and then some people say, oh, don't go above 40% because it doesn't work above that. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, it's you probably not 40. You're talking about SP. So the question is about SPS. If 40, 15, these matters or not, and that's about. So first we need to know what is FPS, right? You all know? Sun protective factor. Yeah. So and how do they measure? So they measure the minimal erythema, so the MED, the dose. So these also, even though the sun protects SPF is the same, to different color people is a little bit different. So the minimal MED also, like you get certain dose and your skin to get a little bit pink. So again, this is a very tricky part, is how do you decide what's the MED? So different doctors, dermatologists probably give you a different answer, how much, even the same person. So this is another thing I think, the physics or computation of this professor can help, is to develop a certain kind of, you can use digital to decide, what's the MED. So you protect the skin, the minimal this erythema, this dose, and you can protect it, like how much you can protect it. So that's how you decide the SPF. So people do discuss this a lot. 50 or this, it also depends on how much you put on for this sunscreen. So if you put very light, or you put a stick this layer, it can change the SPF really. So it all depends. Myself, I think 15% will be more than enough. Anyway, it cannot 100% protect you from skin cancer. The thing is, even you have 90% of the skin, this sunlight UV blocked, and skin cancer only reduce about 50%. It does effective, but it's not totally blocked. And second is also the chemical, this compound, some of these can be break down by sunlight. Really, all the mechanism for the chemical methods is to absorb the energy. And when a molecule absorbs energy, it becomes unstable, break down. And this breakdown part, if they have a benzene ring or a fatty this chain on it, it can penetrate your skin. And you see a breakdown molecule often is a free radical, so it causes a second DNA damage. It passes the free radical into your DNA. So that's also possible that people discuss a lot about this, how this skin cancer, why the sunblock is not as effective. So right now in my lab also we are looking nature way. And have you ever thought, we people all need like a sunblock, all these things, what about tree? They live on the sunlight, they get so much light, right? And they have their own mechanism of protection. They really make sunscreen for themselves. Their DNA just like our DNA. Our DNA no difference from a tree or bacteria, even though they're folding a little bit different, packing different, but DNA is DNA. So they need to protect themselves also. And so we are more looking into the nature to see what tree is. Is this, less toxic for us? So that's some, a lot of commercial value also in this kind of study. A lot of money be thrown into this sunscreen. But for my study, for NIH funded this project, more on the cellular. So after you get UV, get irradiated cell, what does it response? So we always say, oxidation. So that's the easiest way for people to tell you, oh, it's oxidative stress. Oh, it's free radical, right? So sounds like this is so bad. Then they will try to sell you, oh, grape juice, right? You drink it, and antioxidant can help you, to prevent. So a lot of money, people spending on this. But if you look, for these people who selling this, they probably not live as long as you do. So for people don't live. So they really sell stuff. But our body do need a balance of oxidation. Why you people do exercises? You do workout? You work out, you generate a lot of free radicals. It stimulates your muscle, right? So our body really, tend to have certain level of oxidative stress. So this is what we are studying. And we look how these free radicals, a UV molecule absorb, what kind of molecule be made, and how do they be changed to something non-toxic. And your body really, it's like, well balanced buffer. A lot of things can be converted. So I just say, often as long as you don't overdo it, our body can handle it. Unless, of course, if you have genetic mutations. So some people, red hair, I know it's not real, but Yeah. They have a gene mutation that, less pigmentation, they make more EU melanin, and so they easy to get these skin cancer, so they should be protected. But most people, your body is okay, can handle low dose of UV, and they will be repaired, and the free radical will be converted. So UV, they activate the oxidase that makes free radical, Zinc Oxide. That's one of the free radical we always see. People eat antioxidant. By the way, overeating oxidant, I really don't think it's a good idea. Your body, your protein folding need a certain level of the oxidation. So if you totally reduce it, the double S bond cannot be formed. Okay, you need to oxidize the H, right? Remove the H to form. So protein folding, all these are related to the oxidative this level. So the thing is, it's a balance. The balance. So that, yes.
I was thinking about when you said zinc oxide is like the best.
Oh, zinc oxide is basically, it's a physical method. So it's not like absorb UV, this energy, but it reflects UV.
So
Okay.
why don't people always buy zinc instead of sunblock?
Well, one problem is it can cause this white patch on your face. If you take picture, it's not pretty, okay? Especially with flashlight. So sometimes you can see these important people, Hollywood or some, they have these parties and they will show people, have patches. But you should say, I appreciate he or she use a very environmental friendly this sunblock. but you can see, patches white reflect sometimes, and if you go on research. So, yes.
I'm interested in the TT mutation.
Yes.
You say there's corrective mechanisms that will
Yeah.
often take it away and
Yeah. Refill.
repair it, but some don't. Do you know the difference?
Well, if it's sometimes you're. The question is about this why some of these TTP removed, some not. But the thing is, if you oversaturate your whole thing, you have a capacity of repair.
In what
Yeah.
sense? In what sense? Do you
In
have
your,
a finite number of policemen on site, or how?
yes, so you have certain proteins that's called DNA mechanism, and this DNA repair mechanism, this signaling pathway, or these proteins, or you say, please, they can be turned on. But if you never get UV exposed, like your cells say, we don't need it. And our body is very energy conservative. So they will reduce express level, basal level very low. So then when you suddenly get a lot of this sunlight or damaged, they have a repair ratio, so they don't have enough to come to help you repair.
Can you stimulate the repair ratio? by
Yes.
Certain
Yes,
dietary.
that's not necessarily dietary. Dietary often is helping your body to remove certain level of these like free radicals. That's possible. And recently, really have many publications about the whole food. So people say antioxidant. So they often try to sell you a pill, like green tea or like resveratrol, these from the grape. But really now people more and more thinking about the whole food. So like you eat this grape powder, recently people found, can help you protect your skin from this. But that's a different mechanism. That's more like a chemical mechanism to help you build the buffer and to reduce the oxidative stress. But to induce this gene expression, the best is routinely low dose UV irradiation. So just like I said, you walk out 10, 15 minutes, you get enough vitamin D, and your repair gene will have a job to do, and you hide them constantly, you have a job, so that's how. That's why I say, you run your cell like we run society, you keep a job, people have something to do. But if you totally like nothing to do, then they reduce, cut. Like our university have less students, they cut people. We have less people, right? So same mechanism. I just say, from small to big, it's all the same. So any other questions? Very good question, yeah. Hi.
Hi, I have a question going off of that. So if you already
Yeah.
Can you go, is there a way to fix that? Do you just go outside a little bit for like 10, 15 minutes and all of a sudden it starts fixing
Well,
repairing itself?
No. The question, if you already have a mutation, can you still repair it? The problem is your DNA, your cell is constantly replicate. So when they have a mutation, why your DNA comes to repair it? Why your repairs these mechanisms come to repair it? Because they cannot pair. So originally, this AT, right, pair, and other one is GC. Now you have a GT if you mutate it. So your repair system recognize this. Oh, there is an unpaired DNA. So that's why they come to chop it, okay? But if they don't have enough time to chop it, when your DNA replicates, there will be a perfect match. So your repair system cannot recognize it anymore. Make sense?
So you can't fix it per se?
No.
Okay, got it.
Unless you kill them. So that's really another theory people sometimes discuss is UV, sometimes, is it really reduce cancer, increase cancer? Of course, most the theory right now is increase cancer, right? Especially the younger time, So sometimes I in this pharma market see these parents, have their baby in a cot without any shade. I just think that's a, really bad, idea, and it's criminal because these kids will have much more chance to develop skin cancer when they grow up. Okay, so many young people here, I just say, for your next generation, if you have a baby, make sure, baby skin. Often people found that the skin cancer development is due to the early time overexposure.
And it just lays dormant?
So cancer takes a long time so the mutation will be carried until the cell dies, then it's removed, yeah. So, yeah, I have a question here, yeah.
So UVB is more penetrative than UVA, and also what are these tanning salons basically relate to their
The question is about UVB.
UVA or UVB,
Yes,
penetrative
yeah.
qualities. These so-called tanning salons, people go in and
Well,
expose themselves to it.
yes, so the tanning, this question is about UVB, UVA, and the tanning salon, right? And people goes there. And the tanning salon, for sure they use UVA because UVB, if you overexposure, you will immediately get burned and you really painful. UVA is penetrate much deeper, lower energy, and you don't feel that bad, but it damages your DNA and it increases your color pigmentation. So I just say, don't go to the tan salon. Don't go, don't go, don't go. So important thing 3 times. And it's really bad for you. And you think, why are you not happy with your body? Different color. In Japan, billions of dollars of this marketing, billions of dollars, not millions, okay, for making people white. Okay? Why you want to be dark? You're white, dark, be happy with yourself. Just you are you, It's if everyone looks the same color, then it's no fun, right? So just don't go to this bed, to tan yourself. Right now you think look nice, fashionable and chocolate color, but your cell really get aging. Veronica in my lab is and Zoe, they are studying this UV and skin aging. And your fibroblast, they do, it will secrete this enzyme, they call the MMP. That's chop your this collagen and make your skin look, wrinkle, dry. This, baby, a lot of collagen looks, transparent. This. So just don't go to the. It's very bad for you, and so don't go to the this tan salon. Okay. So, any questions? Other questions? No? Oh, hi.
So, if you don't normally get a lot of sunlight, and then you start getting, more sunlight, significantly more, how fast can your body, fluctuate that repair ratio?
Well, so the question is about this, how fast your body can adapt it to, the induce the gene expression and to help you protect yourself from UV light. And this, I don't have answer. I think it's also based on, different people, variable. But, the thing is our body is supposedly to go with the season. So in the winter time, you have less exposure, but slowly, during the spring, you have longer. So I just say, if you really want to go to the beach or this, you never go out, at least give yourself 1 week, 2 weeks, expose yourself a little bit. So that possibly could help because especially if you have a little bit higher dose, your gene can be turned on pretty fast. So what we are looking in our cells, it's probably 12 to 24 hours, your repair system started to kick in. And we can look at this gene expression, they be turned on, some of these can be turned on pretty fast. But how long they stay, that's another story, right? So give yourself a little bit time to get adapted to a new environment, okay? Okay, so let's see, 41, and so here, so we talked about this DNA damage, and so UV and UVB, so two different signaling pathways. One we talked about is the CPD, that's one, the dimer, and it's a direct UVB absorption. But also the free radicals, that's why I say, mentioned about the food. It's mostly on this part. So it generates a better buffer that can help you reduce oxidative stress. But as I said, don't overdo it. Okay, so as long as you eat healthy, green, and that will be nice, and to reduce this part. And this part of this research, also very interesting, we are doing is, because this is after your skin be irradiated, it still keep going on. And this is published on Science, a paper a couple years ago, not too long ago, because people say, what's going on? Because after UV irradiation, your DNA still have a lag time, they still get damaged. And that's because in your cell, the pigment like melanin or these can absorb. They try, again, like your sunblock. They absorb the UV light, they get excited. But after they get excited, they have to give out the free radical. So when they give out, they still cause DNA damage. So some of these things, I just say if you overdo it, you're always trouble. The thing, if you do it slowly, to build up all these, your capacity of antioxidants. So this part we are studying is where this free radical comes. Okay, so UV light, we found a signaling pathway that's caused nitric oxide synthesis be activated, and it makes nitric oxide, but same time it can make superoxide also. The thing is, nitric oxide synthesis have two different kind of, one is a constitutive nitric oxide synthesis, we call it CNOS, other one is INOS, okay? And most people you see here, this is a paper published, I think that's a science paper, and about the INOS, and so INOS, the people focus so much on INOS because INOS activity compared to CNOS is 10 times higher. So same one molecule, INOS make 10 nitric oxide, CNOS only make 1. Okay, so but we found is after UV, INOS really takes about 4 to 6 hours to turn on. So that's for inducible. So to induce it takes a long time. And CNOS is constitutively active. So if you went to Dr. Malinsky's talk, he's expert on the NOS, and he can detect a heart, beating heart, the nitric oxide, how much is making all these. So, and nitric oxide, so it can be turned on instantly, make a nitric oxide. So, and also this CNOS, because you have a zinc center, it can be oxidized, and then you get uncoupled, and at that time, it started to make this superoxide instead of nitric oxide. And superoxide and nitric oxide can react together to form a epoxy nitrite, which can cause some damage to these modified lipid and DNA, protein, cause problems. So we are studying all these signaling pathway, and other things we are looking is how this CNOS activation affects the other signaling pathway. That's NCAB signaling pathway. And it's not like right now I'm talking about this, looks simple, just two signaling pathway, but takes a long time. I started this project from 2000, $4 million, $3 million through in already, 1.7 million just started this year, $2 million through in, yeah. So totally $3.7 million for these little pictures. Okay, and the thing is, we found one target, one single target that's possibly regulate two different mechanisms that affect skin cancer formation. One is the DNA damage signaling pathway, and other one is a survive pathway. That's an NF-κB signaling pathway. Okay, and NF-κB mainly is a pro-survive gene, but it also does a lot of other things like the regulate immune response. And immune response, that's another thing, good or bad. A little bit immune response, low level, turn on, it could be good for you, but if it's severe inflammatory reaction, it's bad. And also, even these memory cells, these T cells can stay in your skin and cause a lot of problem. And like a discolor patch, the white patch, so this, it's all because the immune system be turned on. They started to attack your pigmented cells. So it's interesting different pathways. One is a protein, more biology. One is more chemistry, signaling pathway, and that's what's going on in our lab. And the key, what we want to do is to see how we can develop a compound or find any nature products that can target the NOS, signaling pathway, to protect your skin from UV-induced this cancer. Okay, so I think that's probably the time, 47. That's the right time to stop for questions.
Good time for you, yes. We don't have time for questions.
Well, I'm wondering, how do you test that stuff? Do you have subjects? Do you use tissue? Do you use actual people?
So the question is how we test this signaling pathway. Mostly we are right now studying using cell-based assay. So we culture the keratinocytes and we build a
Human skin?
It's a human skin cell, be cultured, immortalized, but we also using this primary cell line. That means it's prepared from people, and to study on using this cultural cell. So this is economic, costs less money, and easy to do, and you don't have to hurt animal, these things. But we still need to do the animal study for the cancer study, because we cannot do this on human, and we cannot just, we can look at the cell DNA damage and transformation. So we really can turn this normal cell to be a cancerous cell on the plate. But on the plate, that means, in the body, because your skin also have immune system, all this. So we have a model called SHK mice that's designed for study this cancer, UV-induced skin cancer. And we have a very small group of sample, and that's why I like to thank this big foundation from OU. So NIH really supported for many years, NSF also supported, but the animal model is supported by big foundation, and we have a small group of these animal, and we found that this our compound that inhibits the CNOS significantly reduce the cancer or delay the cancer. So for men, that's a bad news. The cancer incidence is still the same, but it's delayed. For women, it's a good news. It's significantly reduced. Okay, so that's bring us another project later on we will study is about the hormone, like estrogen or this, how does it affect the skin cancer formation? So I say, science just constantly, you find new things, surprise data, then we just have fun studying it and try, and hopefully we can have something, good turn out to help people. So, yeah. So all these pictures, online these days, you can find a lot of information. And as I said, NCI founded for last 15 years. You have a question?
Yes. You mentioned that melanin can work as like a sort of sunblock in your skin.
Yeah.
Is that more of a chemical method or like a physical?
It's absorb the energy. Yeah, help you. Yeah. And you're expert on this, right? How does it work? The electron activate. Yeah. So a lot of pigment, in your body are, if you see it's dark, it's black. So we really can turn the cell. That's Veronica yesterday have a poster. We can turn the cell from black to white, white to black. That's sweet. And if you don't see, it's become black. That's because they absorb the light. Yeah. So the energy then the molecule will be excited. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe you said it, but maybe I did not pay a lot of
That's
attention.
yeah.
So why for the assays you are more interested in the CNOS, not the INOS?
Well, we are looking very early. So the question is why we look CNOS, not NNOS. So INOS. So the CNOS is constitutively, in your body, and it's always there. So why we are looking at this, because we are looking very early time, and very early. INOS you don't need to activate it. It depends on the expression. So expression, that means you have all the signaling pathway comes down, and INOS be the transcription, translation, goes up, you make more. And we looked at the INOS, it turn on takes 4 to 6 hours based on the cell line. But CNOS, it's instant turn on. Okay, so often if you try to look the signaling pathway for MD, often they look at the end point, say, cure cancer or not, cancer cell dies or not. Then they look at it. But I'm a chemist, and we have a mind always set in the dynamic. When, where, and a lot of these free radicals, they go up, down, depends on where you see, it can be totally different results. So we look very early time, and that's the CNOS, that's the one that's dominate the synthesize. Okay, and also CNOS have two phases. You can make a superoxide besides the nitric oxide. Yeah.
When you're looking at the slide previous, you had
Yeah.
an image that showed the timelines for how long it takes for these cancers or for skin cancer to develop. Why does it take so long for skin cancer to develop in comparison to other kinds of
Well, other cancer often also takes a long time. The question why the skin cancer takes so long, but not the other one. Other one also takes long time. Yeah, you just don't know. These don't see it often. When you see the cancer, usually it's already be there for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why for people to do the colonoscopy, and for about 50 years, always ask you to do. Every 5 years you do one. So at least takes 5 years you can see a lump develop. If this time you don't see anything, it takes at least 5 years, and even it's not cancer yet, you're still safe, right? So cancer do take a long time. Yeah.
What
Okay.
makes melanoma so much more dangerous than other forms
Well,
of skin cancer?
the question is why melanoma is so dangerous, and the thing is melanoma, it's metastasis. So it's very loosely attached to each other, and they move around. So the skin cancer, the basal cell carcinoma and this squamous cell carcinoma, often it's just stays in the, if you see lump, right? And so if you take care of it, it does not go around. But melanoma, they often when you see it's bad, it's moved. So even though you cut it away, it still, other places comes. So I just say, for this mode, just be, go to the dermatologist, it's Dr. Simmons, that's our collaborator. She has this Oak Ridge, this dermatology on the State Street. And once a while, if you have any suspect, on mode, especially on your back or something, and go see her. She can tell you immediately if it need to be removed or not. Yeah. Yes.
So I have a question about the UV part. As you mentioned, the sunlight can cause like skin cancer. I wonder if sunlight can cause any cancer to our eye or any other organ.
Well, your eye, of course, your eye can, your eye can develop a melanoma. So some of these, your eye, let me see, what kind of cancer in eye? I'm not for sure, the UV and the eye cancer, because most of these people get this eye cancer is like a bone, and they have this type of cancer, but it seems not UV related. So yeah, and the UV, the penetration, because it's on the surface, so it's not get into the back of your eye. So the cancer is developed is behind your eyeball. So in the eye, but UV definitely related to some of these these like collateral deposit become white, this type of thing, and it's UV related, but not cancer. Yeah. And I think you have a question. Yeah. I have,
My question is, would it be any difference in terms of danger level during different seasons? I mean, the UV light during different seasons. Let's say.
The question is, what's the difference of UV light and the dose different in the different season?
In fall, winter, spring, different level of danger.
Well, we really have this UV index every day, so it's not just the season. It also depends on this atmosphere and pollution. All these can affect the UV dose reaches on the Earth. So the best way to find it is to read like in the weather channel. You can read the UV index. Yeah, day. So if it's a high UV index day, even sometimes it's not a sunshine day, the UV index is very high. So make sure you protect yourself. Okay.
Is there a last question?
Yeah, yeah.
So what is the protective mechanism?
Yeah. So the question is, what's the mechanism for this UV protection for trees? And the trees have different mechanism. Really, this afternoon we discussed a little bit. Veronica brought. She saw a paper is trees have their own DNA repair mechanism. That's we human don't have. I didn't see that paper yet. So if you are interested, ask Veronica. And also, but I do know trees also make their own sunblock compound. And that's really not too long ago people identified that, because just, why tree DNA is not get damaged, right? So they make these, also this ring structure with polyene structure and these molecules. That's why we think, it's, we probably can identify this new compound in the environment. And in fact, we already identified some, in our lab. One is the carnazole, we patented it. Carnazole, that's from rosemary. So if you eat rosemary, that's possibly can help your skin resist UV. And I also, when I was in Ecuador, they told me, I walked into the jungle, Ecuador, Pacific, this Catholic university is our sister university, and there is a local medicine man, and he took us walk the jungle, and he can tell this tree, that tree, this flower for this, that. And they have this tree, if you just like grab them and put on your skin, and you can protect your skin from UV damage. So I think, a lot of these nature products can help, and that's what we are looking at. And hopefully, we can commercialize them and to help the university, and also help people to protect in a more nature way. Often, the thing is, this big company, this pharmaceutical company, they don't like nature products. Nature products cannot be patented, cannot sell for big money. So they want this synthetic, but the trend is changing. I recently went to a pigmentation meeting, and L'Oreal, they are more interested to this nature compound instead of synthetic, so cosmetic industry, because I think people are more and more aware about nature. So I always say, nature is a big library, and yeah, just wait us to find it. So
Let's thank Dr. Wu for a very good talk.
Thank you.